Welcome to Some Guy's Garage. I've got a new tool today, something I haven't ever used before, and it's a tile saw. So this is the Ridgid R4031S tile saw. I think S stands for the fact that it comes with an actual stand here. But it's a 7-inch wet tile saw. It's 9 amps, so a medium-sized one. Not your tiniest size, but also not a really big high-performance one. They do make 10-inch and larger tile saws out there, but this was kind of a nice midpoint price-wise, around 400, just under $400 Canadian. It's probably a little cheaper in the US, but still a name brand, being Ridgid, so it's not a no-name one, but not like the $1,000 plus Dewalt ones that I would otherwise normally get. But given that I haven't done a lot of tiling before, I figured I'd start here. If you haven't been following, I do have a series where I'm finishing my basement right now. There's a bathroom obviously down there, and I'll be tiling the floor as well as part of the shower in that bathroom. So time to learn how to tile, and I got a tile saw. So basic specs says it can rip up to 24 inches perpendicular, 18 inches diagonal, can cut up to 2¼ inches, bevel to 45 degrees. Like I said, it was 9 amps, and it's good for all the normal kind of tiles and stones and things like that. Comes with a wheel, a wrench, a cutting wheel wrench as opposed to an arbor wrench. We'll see what the difference is there. Splash guard, miter guide, submersible pump. So this is a wet tile saw as opposed to a dry one, so it can actually spray water on things. Has the tray for the water. A couple batteries, I guess maybe for the pump. I guess we'll find out on that as well. Along with the stand and the manual. So today I'm going to get this thing unboxed and check it out. And I'll probably include some tile cutting. We'll see how that goes for the first few cuts, but it won't be up here in the garage. It'll be outside just to keep the mess down. But first things first, let's get it unboxed, check it out, and see how it works. I say this is giant. I'll actually flash a picture up here from Home Depot of the Dewalt version. This saw looks absolutely tiny in comparison. The Dewalt, which is another one of the ones I was considering, is like 3 times the size of a box. So that was one of the other considerations, is I didn't want to have to store yet another really giant tool. I have the Dewalt miter saw and table saw. I think I've done a review on the table saw before. I'll leave a link to that as well. But I didn't want to get a giant saw here that would take up a lot of space, and I'm not doing this professionally, so also, like I said, this is a more economical option. All right, let's see. Looks like we've got a Ridgid 7-inch tile blade, or diamond blade. Some of the literature, some product lineup stuff. There's the manual and warranty registration. There are a few bolts in here. There's the batteries and a wrench. Bit more hardware, some spring clips and feet or something. Looks to be power supply. No, that's the pump. So a tiny little pump here. I guess the batteries are not for the pump then. Does look like it has adjustable flow rate. That's kind of cool. And it is a 0.14 amp submersible pump, acceptable for indoor and outdoor use. Some more little pieces. I guess that's some splash guard stuff, kind of rubbery. All right, I'm gonna guess that is part of the stand. I'm just gonna take that and put it to the side. More parts. That looks like a miter guide. So from 0 to 45. Okay, so that looks like the motor head, and there looks like the base here. So let's get the motor out. Just pull that back into frame here, but there is the actual, there we go, in frame. There's the actual motor, the cutting head for it, and some arm and all the wiring for it. Part of the, probably the sliding table for it here. Another part of, I assume, the stand. I will also put that to the side. And that looks like the splash tray, or the place where all the water collects. More styrofoam. At least it's well packed. And definitely another part of the stand here. All right, that's everything in the box. So I'll get this out of the way and join you again in a second when I get all this stuff kind of situated on the workbench here. All right, so mostly unboxed and everything out of the way here. There is a fair bit of assembly required. Looks like in the instructions here, they walk you through kind of the parts, and then there's a whole bunch of assembly steps here. So I'm not going to walk you guys through that here, but am going to get this all put together and then we can take a look at how it works and how it functions. So back in again in a minute. All right, we're back. It's assembled. That took way longer than I expected. It was 45 minutes, almost an hour to put this thing together. And a lot of it, the directions are not great and clear, nor is it straightforward. Like sliding this tray on, there's this table lock that you pull out that's supposed to clear this little piece here at the end of the tray. It doesn't actually clear when the table lock is out. So it's finicky to get it in there. All of the splash shields here at the back as well. Let me just stop that thing from... These, I don't know why they wouldn't just come attached. Like, you have to pull this bolt out and this tiny little screw and then kind of slot everything over. It seems like something that you would just have installed from the factory. That didn't make sense. The batteries, I figured out what the batteries are for. They're for the laser in here. So there's a laser line. You might be able to see it down here in the tray, or here on my hand right now. So there's a laser in the handle. The batteries go in this little plastic compartment in the handle. Now, why? Like, why would this not be just AC powered? Why does this have to be batteries? All of the other laser tools that I have just run off the normal AC power. Yet this one, it decided to use batteries. Honestly, this is probably why I don't usually buy other brands other than top tier ones. So typically Dewalt, but Makita, Bosch, Porter Cable, other brands just seem to do it better. But mind you, this is 1/3 the price of the equivalent Dewalt saw, or the slightly better Dewalt saw. So maybe it's just my expectations are higher, but honestly not super impressed with it, which is unfortunate, but I don't think I'm going to return it. As much as maybe some other saws would be better to put together and a little less complicated perhaps. This is cheaper, it's smaller. The equivalent from Dewalt is not nearly this compact, which for me is a good thing. But overall, not super impressed with how it went together and just initial impressions of the build quality and some of the design decisions they made. Oh yeah, and just one other thing. Let me flip it around here again. All of this stuff. So this is the pump hose for the water and the power. The power kind of comes back to another plug, which plugs into the saw here. I have it unplugged right now because they say not to run the pump dry, so I wanted to be able to turn on the motor here without actually turning on the pump, so that's unplugged right now. But as far as I can tell, there is no way to like zip tie or attach or otherwise organize these things. And once this hose is attached, you can't separate the orange tray from the rest of the frame. So like the pump has to come out with everything else. And the pump is just suction cupped to the bottom, so it'll lift off, but it just seems like an awkward routing. Like, why wouldn't they make a channel somewhere here to actually hold the cords to the back and keep it nice and organized rather than this stuff just flopping around? So yeah, just a little bit weird. But let me walk you through some of the features, how it works at least, and then, like I said, I'll try and take some video of me actually doing a few cuts with it, and then we can wrap up. All right, so a few things. The blade guard is just here, so you undo this little knob, you can flip it out, get to the blade. They do have an arbor wrench and a Allen key at the back here that is used to remove the blade, and that's where the water comes out. There's a couple of these little jets here, so I'll just close that back up. Like I said, there is a laser, so the button here on the end turns the laser on and off. This handle isn't really used for moving the saw, not like a normal miter saw. You can adjust the depth, so by loosening that off, you're able to adjust the depth of cut or do a plunge cut, so that's why that is there. And then just locks down. These are plastic, not metal. It would have been nice to see these being aluminum or something, but is what it is. And then on the back here, there is the adjustment for the bevel cutting, so you can adjust from 0 to 45 as a bevel cut as well, and just tighten that knob up there. Moving on to the table itself. So the table will lock in place in a couple spots. There's a couple holes here. You just pull this out and twist, and it kind of undoes from the track. You can slide it along. It doesn't entirely clear the back of these for some reason. I guess maybe that's just to keep the water at bay, but trying to pull back, you pull against the rubber. Again, weird design decisions, but locking that back in, you can lock it in those two different spots. On the table itself, there's a miter guide, so it just kind of slips over the front rail here. and you can lock it in wherever you want. And again, there's adjustment from 0 to 45 degrees this way as well. So just a way you can do mitered cuts, you set your tile here and cut on through, or more likely you would have it on this side of the table and 0 degrees here, so you square your tile up to that, and that's how you would be able to cut your square cuts, and then miter just it this way across here and able to do your miter cut that way. Otherwise, you just unlock the table and are able to slide it through. You can't see, yeah, like I was saying about the pump, there's suction cups there, but it doesn't hold it on very right. And I mean, finally to run it, there is just a flip switch here at the front. So you pull it in, turns on. Turn the switch back off, turns off, stops fairly quickly, so that's good. Sounds like it has a bit of a brake, not a very strong one, but there is something there slowing the blade down. Anyway, that's about all the features, pretty straightforward. I will record some shots of it cutting and include that in the end. If you have any questions about the saw, or if any of the problems that I've kind of pointed out today, if you know good solutions for them or I'm missing something, let me know in the comments below. If you aren't already subscribed, please consider it. And as always, thanks for watching and enjoy the shots of this cutting tile. Just a few notes from having spent some time cutting with it now. Despite the difficult assembly, the saw itself cuts quite well. The cuts come out clean, without much or really any chipping. It was also pretty much bang on square out of the box, including the laser. I didn't have to make any adjustments to get it cutting square. It's also not too messy. It does spray a fair bit of water out the back, but not that bad. And really, overall, for the price, it's a fairly decent tile saw. I'm decently happy with it. And once more, thanks for watching.